Hello all. Well, on a little bike ride today, it's getting very warm. Kind of some strange cloudiness coming over. More El Nino stuff coming. So anyway, I thought I would talk a little bit about what Obama, the president of the U.S., pollution proposals are for the remainder of his administration. He wants to have all power emissions in power plants reduced by 32% by 2030. By 2030. That's what he said. All right, we know that that's just absolutely off the wall, because 2030 is going to see huge increases in everything. I mean, by that time it's going to be so too late with such small little problems. Number two is that he's just talking about reducing fossil fuels use in power plants. Wrong. Get rid of fossil fuels altogether, completely. Before I go over to the board and show you, isn't it depressing that he never mentioned high-speed tube transport, completely run throughout the country with solar and wind power? I mean, that's really thinking. Or how about water reservoirs that generate power, give beaches to people in the city, and gives you water that's no longer drinking water, that's no longer exposed to the elements or people or anything else. It's all, well, let's go over the board and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's say that this big square right here represents a building. You know, there's windows going up here, you know, all the way up for story after story. But inside the middle of this building, there's a gigantic water tank. Like this. You could have a beach area in this area right here on the inside of the building. And this is your reservoir of power water, as you could call it. And the way it works is the thousands of gallons are up there, and during the nighttime, or when it's cloudy, the water comes down through this pipe, which hits generators, which sends electricity throughout the building and the city around it. So the water comes down and comes into this reservoir during the time when the sun isn't around. When the sun is around, you have all these solar panels up here and windmills wherever and whatever you decide to make as a windmill. This might twirl around and make electricity, and then that electricity pumps the water back up and into the reservoir, and the cycle feeds itself over and over and over. That's just barely scratching the surface. That's just one idea I have. I have many ideas like this that these politicians, if they had anything upstairs, would actually be talking about and thinking about and doing. So he also made such a huge, gigantic step in his proposal. He wants 28% of the grid by 2030 to be renewables. 28%. That's it? He must not be reading the same information I'm reading. We have to reduce some things by 70% each year. This guy is so out of the loop. How could he be so out of the loop? And the spin on this is sickening. I mean, bold moves and all this kind of crap. None of these proposals will ever get anywhere. You know, first time federal blah blah blah. Oh, people don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And the third big thing is give some money to the states for renewables so they could put up their own renewables. Okay, that one makes sense. How much money? None was specified. What, like $5 a year, $10 a year? None specified, so it doesn't really count. This is just a ploy to get people to think about how great the Democrats are, or the Republicans, or whoever's trying to spin this kind of thing. It just makes me so sick. So there it is. There's Obama's great, you know, nothing about the pipelines, nothing about fracking, nothing about the fracking earthquakes, nothing about the reducing our use of fossil fuels. Nope, no reduction in assistance to the fuel companies. Well, anyway, you know, that's why I said in my last video what I said. It just makes sense. You know, there just isn't anything there. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, look at my last video and you'll understand. Alright guys, until next time. And thank you for all your comments, especially on the Cecil the Lion article. That was pretty good, all that conversation. So appreciate your ups and downs and your new subscriptions and your comments. Until next time.